Hello, my name's Tammy. I decided to do a video about things that you might need to know before applying for disability. I know that when I decided to apply for disability, well, I was still working, but I was struggling. I worked for years and years, having a very hard time because I have a lot of things that are wrong with my back and my whole body, all kinds of disorders. But I struggled all those years and I worked until finally I just had a hard time um, doing things like standing in one spot for long periods. And then I had no choice but to try to apply. And all that I heard from everyone is, oh, it takes forever. You'll die before you get an approval. You may never get approved. It was all negative stuff. No one really gave me any help. But I just kept trying. Sometimes you don't have anything to do but just keep trying. It's like you get desperate, and sometimes when you're just alone in something like this, you just try everything. This was my third attempt. My first two attempts, I applied in New Jersey when I lived in New Jersey for 32 years. I had worked in the medical field and in my own business, travel business with my husband at the time. But I have always taken care of people and did a lot of lifting, everything from home health to helping out in surgery. And I've worked in machine shops. I've just ruined myself even worse. My back was already horrible, and I have like a Dowder hump, which made things worse. And that always gave me a complex, having that hump on my back, because when I try to put on a dress, it's like my dress goes up in the back. So I know the struggles of being disabled, and I just want to touch base and give you as much information as possible. And I'd like to do a few more videos on some things, that might help you. But let's start with information about what you need to know before you file for disability, some of the requirements or criteria. But don't get discouraged at all. Just take it by steps, and look at the whole picture, and then just take it by steps. They say baby steps, and it's best not to worry about it when you're waiting, to find out the outcome of it, waiting for your approval. It's best not to think too much, just keep living, do what you're supposed to do, and time will go by quicker. As my father told me, he's like, just quit worrying about it so much. Just keep going on with your business. Do what you got to do, and the time will go faster. And that was really good advice that he gave me. And so I'm going to read some things off, and I'll also tell you things that happened to me. Well, when I decided to apply in North Carolina, I moved here in 2010. I think it was 2010 in July. Well, I tried working again until 2000, sometime in 2011, and then I just had to give up. I'm like, I can't push these heavy things. The last job that I tried to do was at the casino, cleaning rooms, and I really would have liked to do that job because I like the environment. The casino is exciting and everything, and I gave it my best shot. I even slept in my car for several days while I was there because I couldn't afford to rent a room or a place yet, and that was fine. Sometimes you got to do what you got to do. But I was just happy to get considered. I went through training and everything, but then I had to accept that I just wasn't able to do the job. And they told me, if you can figure out something that maybe you can do, let us know. So Harris Casino was really, really good about working with me, but I ended up getting disability, and I never went back to Harris, but I really appreciate how nice they were to me. And that was in Cherokee, North Carolina. But anyway, let's get started. First off, don't let people discourage you, because you'll never get anything in life done, and you'll stay depressed if you listen to everyone. You know, it's if it's your destiny, it will happen, and no one can stop it. Okay, so let's see where to start with. First, you're going to need to get an attorney um, for your disability case. And whether you've worked most of your life or not, like you may earn credits, you may have earned credits for SSDI, regular disability, or if you haven't worked much, then you would qualify for SSI. But I'll go over those a little bit, and I'm going to read because I don't want to miss a lot of things that you're going to need to know. I have a little bit of the sniffles, so bear with me. Okay. There has to be evidence that you're disabled. So you really need a history of going to the doctors and getting whatever tests you need and care to show that you are disabled or have a disability. And each person who files a disability claim is responsible for providing medical evidence showing that he or she has an impairment. The Social Security Administration, with the claimant's permission, will help the claimant get the medical evidence from his or her own medical sources. Now, I can tell you, speaking just from my experience, the Social Security doctors were not really supportive of me. And so actually the judge didn't even take them into consideration because he could tell. And I just want to skip around and say that I had good insurance when I worked in New Jersey. I was a professional. And then after my money ran out when I moved, there I was with hardly any money. And then I was in no money. So I ended up having to go to the Good Samaritan. It's a free clinic for people who don't have much money, mostly for the poor, the homeless go there. Don't be ashamed because, sometimes we all need help. And so I went there, and I thank God that the Good Samaritan was there to help me because they took really good care of me when I couldn't afford to see another doctor. They did ask for a donation, if you had a donation, and a donation if you could get anything together for your prescriptions, but they sent me to specialists. They performed tests that was needed, and I had went years ago to psych doctors off and on, not regular, but I started going regular to their psych doctor. And that also helped me because I knew that I had some issues like bipolar 1, personality disorder. So when they're looking into your medical evidence, if you have any mental issues, you need to see a psychologist or a psychiatrist. And so there will be records of that, and they can give you diagnosis, and really, that helps you because I really needed help. And I found the Good Samaritan to be wonderful. And I had to go there, I think, for like 2 years, and I was going there while I was filing for my disability case, and I found a good lawyer. I went on YouTube, and I just was looking at through YouTube, and I found a lawyer who was in Dunn, North Carolina, near Raleigh. His name was Vance Jennings, and he was wonderful. And don't get discouraged if you never get to see this doctor. You never get to see this lawyer until the day of court, because sometimes that happens. And you might not even get to speak to them on the phone at all because they have their paralegals do most of their work. He might speak to you briefly for a little bit, maybe one time, maybe not. I don't even think I spoke to Mr. Jennings until time to go to court. But I was assured by the paralegals and all the people that worked with him. I was assured that everything was coming along, and they would call me pretty regular, or I could call them anytime and get updates on my case. And they were really excellent. They gave me a lot of support, and they were very encouraging. So just because you don't get to speak to the lawyer right away, or you may never speak to him, don't get discouraged, because they have usually a real good team that takes care of everything, and they will provide you with all the information you need. And then come day of court, you'll see your lawyer, and, he's ready, and he's ready to go. So don't worry about that. You can look up on the internet and see if there's any reviews about him. But when I saw the video, I was convinced that he was the one for me. Okay. Social Security Administration needs specific medical evidence to establish that a claimant has an impairment. The regulations require objective medical evidence from an acceptable medical source to establish that you have a medical determinable impairment, and the regulations define these terms. There's different severities. Once the existence of an impairment is established, Social Security considers all the evidence from all medical and non-medical sources to assess the extent to which a claimant's impairment affects his or her ability to function in a work setting, or in the case of a child, the ability to function compared to that of children the same age who do not have the same impairments. Non-medical sources include, but are not limited to, the claimant's educational personnel, public and private social welfare agency personnel, family members, caregivers, friends, neighbors, clergy, employers. A claimant must inform Social Security Administration or submit all evidence known to him or her that relates to whether or not he or she is blind or disabled. This duty is ongoing and requires the claimant to disclose any additional related evidence about which he or she is aware of throughout the administrative review process. This is an ongoing thing. Once, if you're disabled, you're going to just keep going to the doctors every so often. You're going to go to all of your follow-up appointments. That's very important, because they will review you. It might not be for 8 years. It might be 4 years. I think last year I got my first review, and I had to send in tons of papers just listing all the appointments and testing and times that I had been in any medical facility for anything for the last year. And I think I had like 9 or 10 pages front and back, maybe more. And then they sent me a letter saying that they're satisfied. But you don't just, not go to the doctor. You've got to go and get your follow-ups and do like you're supposed to do, and, get your care, your health care. The nature and severity of the claimant's impairment, they determine how long the claimant has experienced the impairment. So the longer that you've had these impairments, the better. You might have been born with some things that you don't even realize are causing you to not be able to work comfortably. Whether the claimant can still do work-related physically and mental activities with the impairment. You can just be mentally unable to do certain jobs. Now, with me, I not only had physical limits as far as, I could not stand in one spot, like I could not be a cashier. I can walk quite a bit, but I also have a lot of asthma and COPD. And but the mental part, I was never really able to have a job where I was not a manager. I had to have a position where I could manage, because the times when I didn't have a position, when I couldn't manage, I really had a hard time taking orders from those who I thought didn't know what they were doing, and that created problems. So I actually have personality disorder, which I don't even to this day understand really what that is, except maybe not being comfortable all the time around a lot of people. But I find myself to be pretty outgoing, but I do have trust issues, a lot of trust issues. And I can go for very long periods without getting depressed, which I'm bipolar 1. My big problem for years is that I would be too confident and I would do a lot of things without thinking. So that also is a disability. Too much anxiety. Uh, there's just all kinds. There's all kinds of disabilities you might not even be aware that you have, that they will uncover or find out when you go for your, different tests. And, so when you go to the doctor, tell him, hey, I'm having a problem with this. It's hard for me to work, You can't find out a lot of things without testing. And if the evidence provided by the claimant's medical sources is inadequate to determine if he or she is disabled, additional medical information may be sought by recontacting the medical source for additional information. Social Security knows from prior experience that the claimant's own medical source may not be a productive source, or the claimant's own medical source is not qualified. There are places you can go to doctors, and they may have you seeing someone who's not really qualified to perform certain tests that you need. So you need to go to specialists, and wherever you go, normally they will refer you to someone who specializes in what you need to find out about. A complete consultative examination report will involve all the elements of a standard examination. And these elements are the claimant's major or chief complaint, a detailed description within the area of specialty of the examination of the history of the major complaint. In claims for adults, a statement about what a claimant can still do despite his or her impairments and whether the claimant has one or more impaired related limitations or restrictions in the following abilities. The ability to perform physical demands such as sitting, standing, walking, lifting, carrying, pushing, pulling, other physical functions, including manipulative or postural functions, such as reaching, handling, stooping, or crouching. The ability to perform mental demands of work activities, such as understanding, remembering, maintaining concentration, persistence or pace, carrying out instructions, or responding appropriately to supervision in coworkers or work pressures in a work setting. The ability to perform other demands of work, such as seeing, hearing, or using other senses, and the ability to adapt to environmental conditions, such as temperature extremes or fumes. In claimants for children under 18, a statement about the child's impairment-related limitations and restrictions as compared to children his or her age who do not have impairments in acquiring and using information, attending and completing tasks, interacting and relating with others, moving about and manipulating objects, caring for yourself, and health and physical well-being. The consultant's consideration and some explanation or comment on the claimant's major complaint or any other abnormalities found during the history and examination or reported from the laboratory test. The history, examination, evaluation of laboratory test results, and the conclusions will represent the information provided by the consultant who signs the report. In developing evidence of the effects of symptoms such as pain, shortness of breath, fatigue, a claimant's ability to function, Social Security Administration investigates all avenues presented that relate to the complaints. These include evidence about the claimant's daily activities, the location, duration, frequency, and intensity of the pain or other symptom, precipitating and aggravating factors, the type, dosage, effectiveness, and side effects of any medications, treatments other than medications for the relief of pain or other symptoms, any measures the claimant uses or has used to relieve pain or other symptoms, and other factors concerning the claimant's functional limitations due to pain or other symptoms. It's important that medical sources address these factors in the reports that they provide for the Social Security Administration. And the difference between SSI and SSDI, the major difference is that SSI determination is based on age, disability, and limited income and resources, whereas SSDI determination is based on disability and work credits. In addition, in most states, an SSI recipient will automatically qualify for Medicaid. A person with SSDI will automatically qualify for Medicare after 24 months of receiving disability payments. And individuals with amyotrophic lateral sclerosis are eligible for Medicare immediately. Can you have both SSI and SSDI? Yes, it's possible that if you have both limited income resources and a work history, you can qualify for both benefits, and I think mine is both. I have my credits for working all those years, but I had limited resources. You can apply for SSI online only if you're an adult with a disability. SSI applications are not available online for people applying for a child under 18 with a disability or a non-disabled senior age 65 plus. These individuals must visit their local Social Security office or call 1-800-772-1213 between 7 a.m. and 7 p.m. Monday through Friday. You can apply for SSDI benefits online at any age. You can also apply by calling Social Security at that number that I just gave you, or at your local office. You can go and apply. Social Security uses a strict definition of disability that relates to your ability to perform work and projected length of your disability. It requires that you submit medical records to support your application. If you have a short-term or partial disability, you are not eligible for SSI or SSDI. Now, the time it takes for the application to be processed, it didn't take mine that long, a few months, I think. It varies widely. The average is 3 to 5 months. That was a while back. But people who have severe disabilities that fall under Social Security's compassionate allowances, it's called CAL classification, will receive expedited review of their SSI or SSDI applications. There's no special application form or process for CAL applicants. And if you are, let's say, for example, 62 and disabled, does it make sense to apply for SSDI or early Social Security benefits? You can apply for early Social Security retirement benefits beginning at age 62. However, taking retirement early reduces the amount of your benefit for the rest of your life. So some people want to work as long as possible, but then some have a very difficult time doing that. But if you get SSDI, that benefit amount would be equal to your full Social Security retirement age benefit. In most circumstances, if you're likely qualified for SSDI, it makes sense for you to apply for that benefit instead of drawing early Social Security. But if you decide to take early retirement, perhaps you need the income while waiting to hear about your SSDI application. Now, I had no income at all. I waited for over a year before I got approved, and that is early to get an approval, not much after a year. But it's hard not to have income. It's like I would go to a friend's house and vacuum once a month for like $35, and that's rough. I mean, just to pay donations to get my prescriptions at the Good Samaritan, and to pay to see a doctor, I pay a couple dollars. But you got to do what you got to do. And vacuuming was very difficult for me, and cleaning that trailer that my friend lived in. I'm just giving you this extra info to let you know that, there's people that go through some hard times. So, just don't give up. And if you take early retirement, you can apply for retroactive SSDI. If you're found to have met the disability requirements before you began to receive early retirement, you would be entitled to retroactive benefits equal to the difference between your early retirement payment and what you were entitled to for SSDI. However, if Social Security determines that your disability did not begin until after you received early retirement, you won't receive any retroactive payments. Instead, your Social Security payments will simply convert to your SSDI benefit amount. Once you reach retirement age, your full retirement benefits will be reduced based on how many months you received early retirement, called the reduction factor. Now, many SSI and SSDI applications are denied. Now, I was denied 2 times, and I really was disabled in a lot of ways. And the 3rd time, I had the lawyer and the judge that I went in front of. He said that I should have always been on disability. So anyway, we do what we have to do. Worked for many, many years. Now, if you believe you qualify for these benefits and you have been wrongly denied, don't give up. Find an advocate familiar with Social Security disability policy to represent you. That's the lawyer that you're going to look for. And the National Organization of Social Security Claimant Representatives can help you. And you can call them for a referral. And unless their number's changed, it's 1-800-431-2804. But the best thing to do is to just get you a lawyer. Now, he will get his pay once you are awarded your money. So you don't have to worry about any of that. When you get paid, he gets paid. His part comes out of your award, what you're granted. And this is what I got this many papers, came in the mail from the Office of Disability Adjudication and Review. I hope that my video today on how to apply for Social Security disability helped you, and I hope it answered some of your questions. If you have any questions for me, please feel free to comment to me in the comment section, and I will reply back to you as soon as I can with an answer. Thank you for watching, and I'll be seeing you. Take care.